So interestingly, Tunde was the younger of everyone we got, and for two reasons. We wanted someone who had worked with Gen Zs and who had a practical experience on how to manage the Gen Zs at work. And the good thing about him was that I told him when we started, he's one of the first class that I know that do business in Nigeria. That is not completely, yes, I've had one or two of them, but his ability to be book smart and be experiential is one I don't take for granted. Tunde is smart. Tunde runs Sycamore. The change in the workplace, what the new generation are demanding for, and the best way to, if there's anything like, handle them. So if you're looking for how to work with Gen Zs in the workplace and you want to hear from someone that is like them, then I think Tunde's session is one you should sit back. Yes, we turned out becoming good friends, and welcome to the BTC show. So people said that this generation has, because maybe said it with the generation called millennials, that most of the demands for them wasn't the money, most of them was sense of purpose, most of them wanted to belong to something. And it didn't make sense then. But now, we've talked about the global, as in remote work made everybody look global. You could work from home anywhere in the world. Or in between, are we over petting this generation? Or are we, because as at that time, as at 2011 for you, why you would have never said mental health was that, it's not as if mental health wasn't there. Or maybe we say this has to do with technology. Maybe this is bombardment of technology. Maybe it's new, but the question is, do you also feel that we're over petting the generation?
Okay, so first I would say, there are different leadership styles. So some people are more liberal and some people are more high-handed, generally speaking, not just even for their employees. So people treat their younger siblings in different ways. Especially if you are from an African home, you can see somebody that will flog their coat, and they'll tell you spare the rod and spoil the child. Anyways,
they call it tough love too.
It's tough love. So there's that, and there are guys that are more liberal in their approach, and they take it on to their leadership too. So there's that high level consideration. So if you then bring that into the perspective of petting or over petting, I wouldn't call it over petting. Again, because initially I had an argument with somebody, and they're very resistant about allowing people work from home. To them, allowing people work from home is you being soft, you over petting. They come to work or they leave. As we've seen, even Elon Musk has to adjust. So let's say one of the richest men in the world even had to adjust, right? Because when he put that ultimatum, some people left. But you can't do the business without the people. So now, like this, my friend I was having this conversation with has had to adjust to allow for some remote work just to keep their people. Would you define that as over petting? Or would you say the guy is just adapting to reality? You're trying to recruit for a role and you've spoken to 10 people and all of them have said that you must give them at least 2 or 3 days a week remote. What do? Do you stick to your guns not to over pet, or do you adapt as the situation demands so that you can actually create value for your customers and your other stakeholders, right? In that regard, I wouldn't call it over petting. If you are actually doing within what is reasonable. There's always a reasonability test to some of these things, right? Some of them might be excessive, and then you can define that as over petting. But people demand more now because there's more information, right? Somebody is going to go on Twitter and see, oh, we're having 2 parties every week in my office, and somebody has not had a party in a year in their own office, and they are seeing it, and they come to their boss, company XXX, see what they are doing. What are we doing? So like you said, that access to more information has opened a lot of people for comparison, and people are demanding more because they are seeing everything. They are seeing what's happening in Silicon Valley from Ikeja, Nigeria, right? So people are demanding more. So I guess it's it's up to the leader to sort of find that good balance. But the truth is that you can't, at the end of the day, right, you still have to stick to some of your guns because there's conviction and you can't really be a people pleaser. You have to set standards and make adjustments. At the end of the day, you have to do what is right for business and its stakeholders without being excessive. Then I think if you overdo it, then you can say it's overperting. But I think for the most part, a lot of people are really just trying to adapt.
Okay. So what has worked for you? Hybrid, remote?
Yeah. I mean, we've had to adopt an hybrid approach. It's very, very difficult getting some of the talents we initially. I mean, we're all old school. I mean, we're millennials, but in this context, we're old school. Yeah. And we're used to working Monday to Friday, sometimes on Saturday and Sunday safe.
Yeah.
So the idea of remote work was done for COVID, and coming back, we tried to come back like, okay, you know what, let's just resume. But what we've seen is a lot of people do not want to come back 100% to the office. That's just reality. Like I said, our workforce age range for Sycamore is between 20 to 35-ish. Yeah. A few outliers here and there, but generally speaking. So you have a lot of those guys demanding for remote work. In fact, there was a particular person we tried to hire that we really liked her, but she wasn't even willing to consider 1 day work in the office.
And she was good?
No, she didn't even come for the interview. She said if we're not going to promise her full remotes, she didn't even come for the interview. I mean, I'm just giving one example, right? Yeah. So when we started seeing that trend too much, we then had to say, you know what, this thing is not feasible. So what we do now is hybrid. We do 2 days, 2 days remote, 3 days work. But there's still some discretion on the part of the team leads. Some team leads say, no, I want my people to come every day. Some guys will say, you know what, my guys can get remotes maybe 3 days a week, in some instances 4. So we're pretty much hybrid. I would just say it's like a 2 to 3 balance every other week. But what we just do is we try to track performance. So whether you're remote, or you're working from the office, have you done what you said you're going to do?
Yeah,
KPIs. You monitor the KPIs, and I think another downside of remote work, which I've always argued around, is like learning and culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel for people like you that have to recruit online, and so I recruit you, and you don't even understand how we do things, and 100%. And at the end of the day, you're still operating from your own head. Yeah. So that's where we have challenge, and I think that's where founders struggle.
Yeah, 100%. In fact, I was going to make a point now that, and I always say this, even if a lot of people argue, it's easier to allow an experienced person work remote than new people, So I think that if you're just starting your career, you get your first or second job within maybe 2 or 3 years. I think it's better you go to the office every day, just to observe the way people do things. Like you said, to observe the culture too. Every organization, every circle has a culture, right? If you go somewhere, you hear stuff like, oh, that's not how we do things in Coca-Cola. That's not how we do things in KPMG. That's not how we do things in Sycamore. That's not how we do things in PwC. I mean, you hear those thoughts, but that how we do things is absorbed over time, and it's more difficult to get to remotely. It's not impossible.
Yeah.
It's just more difficult to get to remotely. So if you start your career, I think it's better to sort of, as much as you can, within reasonability, obviously, go to the office, observe people, and sort of absorb some professionalism as much as you can, because you pick it up from conversations, you pick it up from meetings.
Yeah, true.
You're not even doing it actively, you're just picking it up as you go along, right?
Yeah, it's not taught.
It's not taught, exactly. It's experience, it's experiential. Yeah. That's always my own suggestion, and that's what we try to do. More FaceTime for younger people. If you're experienced, I don't want to handhold you. I'm like, you don't take for streets. You've worked in this 5, 7 years, 10 years. I'm not going to handhold you. Give me results. You can move, and I just need to have occasional meetings with you. But for you younger guys, they need to learn the work. They need to learn the culture. Those two things. And them being far from the action is going to make it a bit more difficult.
Yeah. what does recruitment look like for you guys now?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So because we started as a very lean team, we're recruiting strictly for needs. We hardly ever went out to like, oh, we need 5, 10 people. We brought 10 people. I think up until maybe this year, I don't think we ever recruited more than 5 people at the same time. Again, a lot of people assume that because Uncle Tunde and my writing and stuff, and encouraging people to read and stuff. I don't know what anybody in Sycamore graduated with. I'm serious. Okay, one person out of like 80. I don't know what they read in school.
You're not looking at grades, you're looking at what can you do.
I don't even have that luxury of looking at grades, right? I actually don't know. I like it. I encourage people to do that because I think it has helped me. So I encourage people, please get the best results you can. Yeah. If you like, throw your certificate away after that. But just get the best you can. It opens more doors for you. But I really don't know what when we say, oh, we drop a JD, we have an HR team that sources for people online, anywhere. So we try to have at least, based on experience, and if you, bad experiences, we try to have at least one physical interview with the person, no matter where the person is, even if they're going to go and be working remotely.
So they have to show up.
Let's just meet you at least once.
Yeah.
Let's just meet you at least once, So we have that interview, and for experience, we were looking at proven ability to have done what you say you can do, and then we're looking for cultural fits. And for newer guys, we're just looking for good attitude, simple soft skills, communication, a good sense of morality, and basic, I don't want to say common sense, but as I don't know how you quantify common sense, but just basic intelligence, somebody that is willing to learn, open to learn, good attitude, good sense of right and wrong, and again, just good communication. That's for younger guys, right? So this year we started something called Sycamore Academy, where we bring in anybody that comes to Sycamore sort of goes through that program. It teaches you about the culture. I always make sure I take the first day, tell them about the history of the business, the culture,
really important.
The values.
That's the only way of making people grounded.
Yes. But interestingly, that program only lasts for like a week or two. What we are saying is that there are so many things that we don't cover in Sycamore Academy that this 2023 is one of our priorities that we want to cover aggressively, like use of office tools, writing, communication, speaking, dressing. It's going to be a much more extensive program because we're more focused on values, culture, and maybe technical skills for the one we've done this year. Based on what we've seen this year, there is still a lot of plenty things that need to be learned in the academy, mostly soft skills, right? Communication, etiquette, emails, office tools. So we're even making it much more extensive, for the academy. So that's what it looks like.
So do you think for most young people in this era, because the feedbacks from founders still like what remote work does is I'm working from home, I'm with my pajamas, I'm with my laptop, and I'm working. The idea for culture is missed. It's hard work to come to sit and you have to force down your culture because sometimes I think what remote also does for some of us, some is that when some are taking 2 jobs in Nigeria and another country, for instance.
They're not sleeping in the night.
So don't you think that for organizations, how would you think the best way to manage these young people are? Because it's obvious that too much of work is problem.
Yeah.
Too much of work is problem. And we can't keep, you're talking about adapting. So how do you think you can have a win-win, stand with your own rules, and at the same time, we can both get what we want and we don't keep creating rules that don't help us?
I think that, in many instances, we need to be willing to do a lot of the hard work for upskilling these guys. I'm not sure a lot of founders have done that enough. We were having a conversation earlier, and I can point to a lot of people that trained me in coach. I call Suleiman, I can call Martin Zaroge, I can call Moshuda. I mean, these are guys that I look up to, that held my hand, and I really learned a lot from them first 5 years of my career, right? And I think right now, I'm not starting to be corrected, but I don't get the sense that a lot of people that are founding new companies are putting in that effort to really train people, coach people.
Coach people.
Very true. Yeah. True. It's also something I want to be more in the system. And I'm guilty of it as well, right? You are chasing so many things. You're chasing customers. You're like, oh, you want to make a sale, finance, money, money, money. People are very important. People are important, right? But how much effort is actually going, deliberate effort is going into upskilling these guys when they come into the system? Right now, I don't know, a lot of us are doing that hard work, but I honestly feel like that's actually a big gap that is missing in a lot of small businesses and even startups, where what is the deliberate program to get these people from how they are and how you want them to be? And it's a lot of hard work, right? And I was talking to someone last night, and the person said, what if they leave? And I said, well, what if they stay?
Yeah.
If you are scared of them leaving, okay, what if they stay? If they stay and you don't upskill them, your business is the one that will suffer. You will never go and leave. You will not have anybody that can fill in, your shoes. That's sort of like a very big gap that we need to cover. And just thinking more about the people part of the business. When I say people, like people, values, culture, HR, a lot of people we're thinking of the product, the technicality, what can the app do, what can my product do, how is my product different, which is fantastic, right? But the things that is going to keep those things, that's going to make the product good, are the people that are building the product.
Yep.
So how much time have you spent on the people? This year, we've had a lot of scandals about startups. You can call their names, plenty of them, right? And you can see there's clearly a trend that a lot of these guys have not paid attention to the people issues.
Is it the people issue, or is it a combination of... So I have a challenge now. Trust me, why you were very interesting to also come here was that if you look at most founders, you're different.
Yeah.
So I was telling my guys before then that when you interview someone after 2 years, you look at the video and you can't show it again. Because you know very well that it's hard for money to be in your hands and you misuse it. Not because you're perfect, but because there are several people that are holding you accountable.
Yes.
And for me, I think that's what, that's my concern for the new generation, how most organizations can also bring in people to hold their hands. So let's assume that you don't have all the experienced team, your ability to also play around reverse mentorship, bringing people to hold people's hands, because it's people that would call you and tell you, Tunde, I heard they gave you X, Y, Z. Nothing should happen to that money. As funny as it is, those are the things that matter compared to everything flashy. Because at the end of the day, the conversation is that most organizations are flashy, and after being flashy, they get missing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That mentorship, I don't even know the correct English now, right? When I say mentorship, role model, people to look up to, people that can call you to order. Yeah. That's very, 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 very important, because I think my life is a very good example of how that has played out. Just like 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting where we called all our investors and customers, and then I didn't take note of it. It was somebody that told me later. Somebody on that call said, I've known Tunde for 10 years, and Tunde is somebody that I can trust with my life. And I'm honest, I didn't even take note of that, right? It was just later that one of my guys in the company was telling me, actually, somebody said this, so that thing was a big booster for other people on the call. But I didn't think about it, because his name is Shane Wajai. This was also one of the people that trained me too. So in my mind, it was just one of my people, my mentors, my ogas, just saying, Baba, well done. And I didn't think much of it, right? But you see people like that, and all the other people that I know that are above me, that can always call me to order, has helped significantly. I think that's part of what an active learning system does to you. So if you enter a company or an organization where there is a hierarchy, and people are responsible for you, subconsciously, I think you start to see the role of why you need people to guide you in certain things. But if you're a lone ranger from day one, you just came out of school, you went to Alaba, you bought shirts, you sold it, you made money, you're self-reliant, everything. It's a different mindset from, me that started work with somebody and the person is telling me where to go to in Alaba, how to go and shop. Apprenticeship. That is the Igbo apprenticeship system, right? I mean, they are trying to study it in foreign schools too. So I don't think you can overemphasize that from a skill perspective, from an accountability perspective. And I I think, I'm not sure how you would cover that gap entirely, but I know it's on both sides of the divide. One, the younger guys need to realize that they need to reach out to people that are more experienced, and the experienced people too need to hold as many people as they can. Some people, you invite a lot of people for, talks and stuff. They don't come. They're not willing to help anybody or hold anybody.
They're also scared.
They're also, and you're right. They're also scared because a lot of people have been messed up, right?
Yes,
people
and nobody
wants to. Yeah, but look, at the end of the day, right, you have to be willing to make mistakes sometimes if you're going to achieve significant things, right? I don't know if you saw it recently. They're talking about the Google guys and the fact that the person that gave them their first check, they didn't even know the name of the company. They had not even incorporated the company. They didn't have a bank account. They just had the name in their head, right?
So that's trust.
Big trust, and you have to be willing to take it on some people. And I guess you are bolder to do that if some people have trusted you before. And I always think about that, like sometimes if I get a request for something and it requires me going out of my way, one of the things that sometimes motivates me to help is I'll just think about it. A lot of people have gone out of their way for me in the past, right? So I should equally be able to do that eventually. Yeah.
What's your best formula on how to work with Gen Zs?
Yeah. I think in summary is that you have to see them as people and not tools. I think a lot of business owners, employers, founders don't really see the people that you have to think about them. Like I said, from a 360 perspective, you now have to be thinking of the environment they're going to work in, whether that's home, whether that's in the office. You have to think about their performance on the job. You have to think about how they're going to learn. You have to consider their future in the business if they are deemed to have one. So just looking at all those facets, their mental health too, physical and mental health.
So mental health is not is important.
No, it's not fuzzy anymore. Like you have everything. So doing the work, them having a social aspect of the work at the office too. So team bonding and stuff like that. Obviously, you don't want to overdo it. And then thinking about learning and development.
Yeah. People
respond very positively when you've shown interest in them improving their lives, and it's for them. And I always tell them, even if you don't like that word, it's selfish to be concerned about your own learning. If I teach you how to code, or I pay for a coding school for you to attend, yes, fine, I want you to use that coding to help me, but you have to think about it that, wow, if I use this thing to help Sycamore for, even if it's 5 years, I will still use it to go to Google or start my own business if I want to. So in that regard, it is for you. It's not just for me. I'm not only training you for just to serve me. I'm training you that it's a skill you're going to have for the rest of your life that is going to generate unlimited returns for you if you learn it well and you use it well. So I think emphasize a lot on learning, a lot on physical and mental health, a lot of the social aspect of the job, as opposed to just being tunnel vision about this is my employee, this is my staff, give me 8 hours of work, then go home, and then we come the next day and we repeat it. I think you're going to struggle to keep people like that, and people will take a pick. Somebody that earning like 200K will leave such an environment to come and take like a 150K in a place that is more has a lot more to offer than just the paycheck and just work and we don't care about any other thing about you. That's what I've seen, and that's what has helped us.
Do you think being more flexible with them, for founders that feel we want to be strict with these people, how do we become strict with them so that they don't take us for granted? Because I also, when I hear that conversation from them too, that we need to don't lose guard.
Don't lose guard.
With them. How do you think it affects them? What's a better way for most people to handle them so that they also not in their own head don't feel that because I know they're struggling from where they're coming from. What do you think is a better approach to that?
So I find that the best approach to that is like action and consequences.
Perfect.
From a non-sentimental point of view. If we set out policies and rules, the consequences should be very clear and everybody should understand them. For example, if I say everybody's supposed to be here by a certain time and there's a consequence for it, that consequence should apply, right? And it should apply to everybody. And it should be very clear. Same thing, and you should enforce it. Because if you enforce it, one person says it, you're not only enforcing the consequence just for that person, it's also for everybody that is observing to see that you are being fair, right? And then knowing that, oh, if I come late, today is not victimizing me. It is just what is the policy that is being followed. Same thing for reward too. You say, oh, you're supposed to deliver something in 10 days. If you deliver it in 8 days, this is the reward. I'm not going to now single out one person from the team and say, so everybody did it in 80% of the time. If there's a reward for that, it should apply. It gives a sense of fairness that, oh, you are going to try to keep your word, and people would always respect that, right? It becomes more difficult when you're applying different things for different people. So people come. When there's work to do, you're giving one person the work, you're sending the other one to buy a mala. It then becomes unfair, right? So I think creating like policies that is and it's a system of like carrot and stick, reward and consequences, and it's fair to everybody, that it doesn't then look like victimization for one person. I think it goes a long way in establishing that it's not me being strict.
It's just
it's just what the policies say, and that is what we're applying. So it's not personal. We'll still go and hang out in the evening, but you've contravened something, and this is the consequence, and it is there. And you know that if anybody else doesn't abide by this is what happens to them, right? So that's just it. Systems.
Okay. So Tunde, thank you for that. So I'll say this: you have several people rooting for you.
Yeah, I know.
And I know someone said that I should watch Tunde out in the next 10 years. Maybe they plan that you become the minister or... but whatever you're doing it well. So keep doing what you're doing. And I intentionally worked with you on this project because I know very well that in the next 5 years, I won't hear that you folded up.
Amen. No, amen. Amen.
No,
amen.
But I love the background story of how... wherever you are today is as a result of your experience. It also helps most of us that are in school watching and thinking, I want to go out and do it immediately.
Yeah.
And it helps you understand that, yes, even if you want to do it immediately, ask yourself questions.
Yeah.
And I like the part where you said when you had to do the stakeholder management with your own family and told them, okay, if in 2 years I don't do this, I think that helps most people that want to. Yeah. Those conversations are conversations that most people don't really know how to start. Yeah. So I know this helps someone out there finally figure their life and understand how to navigate the workplace. So well done.
Thank you very much.
We're rooting for you.
Support. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So normally I would have given you coconuts to break, but I want you to say breaking a coconut in your dialect.
That's jam question. Huh?
It's not jam question. It's not. I'm not asking you to jack, but I'm asking you to say breaking the coconut in your own dialect.
It's very hard.
So, are you Nigerian?
I'm Nigerian now.
Your name is Tunde?
Yes.
What part of the world are you from?
Please give me another task. I beg you, with Almighty God.
You see a problem with Nigerians?
It's a big problem. I agree. A big problem with Nigerians.
Should I help you?
You can help me.
For
what? I'm
coconut is agbon.
Okay. I've learned.
So, wait, you mean I'm the one teaching you?
You're the one teaching me. We learn every day. Like I said, I'm big on learning and development, so I'll be taking this lesson.
Thank you, Tunde.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks a lot, Charles.
Thanks for coming.
No issues.